Back in studio, Joe Musso alongside Lige Douzable. Deuce, this was a fun watch between two really good teams. Let's just lay that out in front of everybody right now. But execution, if you're going to look at the turnover battle, tells you a different story than execution on the field. What was the winning formula here for Green Bay?
To me, Green Bay made the plays when they needed to make them in those pivotal moments of the game. We talked about this earlier, Moose. When the Texans had the ball and the potential to either score a touchdown or kick a field goal at the end, I thought they got too conservative near the goal line, right? On that second down play, that's when you throw the football. You don't throw it on third down, because on third down, if you're short of the sticks, right, they're still going to call a timeout. They're still going to have a lot of time in the game. Or if you have an incompletion, they hold on to their timeout, which is exactly what happened, Moose. Not only if Tank Dell comes down with that catch, he's going out of bounds. So it made no sense throwing that ball there. If you're going to be aggressive, Bobby Slowick, be aggressive on that second down, second and long. It was 2nd and 12. That's where you throw the football. Everybody in the stadium knew you were throwing the football on third down. So bad execution there. On the other side, the 2-minute offense worked to perfection by Jordan Love. We talked about the hard catch that Romeo Doubs had. He understood he had man coverage on that second down in breaking route, gets them in field goal range, and then another hard catch by Romeo Doubs to put them even closer, and Brandon McManus won the ball. So to me, it was the executions at the critical moments of the game is why Green Bay won this game.
We're going to get you out to the site in just a bit. Tony Romo standing by with his thoughts from the booth on this one. Dudes, before we go there, this was a man under siege in C.J. Stroud, and his final stat line definitely represents that. I can't remember a day in this last year and a half where he was physically asked to do what he was in this game. What did Green Bay do up front to maybe put some tape out there on how you beat this young talent?
Well, going back to their other loss, right, versus Brian Flores, Jeff Hafley did some of that stuff, some simulated pressure. He brought some pressure, and then he allowed his defensive line, who a lot of people have had question marks about and how they haven't been able to get after the quarterback. Well, they got after the quarterback today. C.J. Stroud was under duress this entire game. I think me and Moose were talking about it. In the first half, or right around the third quarter, he was sacked 4 times and been hit 10 times already. This is the most mobile I've ever seen C.J. Stroud, and he had to be, Moose, because like you said, he was under duress. So shout out to defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley for switching things up, not only just going 4-man rush, but also bringing pressure. He brought Xavier McKinney off the edge sometimes, and then he brought some simulated pressure, and linebacker Eric Wilson had a heck of a game for Green Bay getting after C.J. Stroud.
It was 4 sacks in this game, 10 total quarterback hits, and C.J. Stroud finishes this day with less than 100 yards through the air, constantly contacted throughout this one, and we will see what it looks like moving forward for Houston as we take a look at some numbers out of this ball game as Jordan Love orchestrates that sub-2-minute drive to get his team into field goal range. And Deuce, you said it, you're going to play conservative. You're going to cut this field in half by about 40 yards, and that's exactly what happens. A game winner for Green Bay. And for more, we head out to the site where Tony Romo joins us in the wake of what was a thrilling one. Tony, let's start up front with what Green Bay was able to do. What did you see, the nuance from that scheme of the front 7 that allowed them to just live in that kitchen of C.J. Stroud all day?
I think it was a well-designed defensive look. They changed up the looks, but they knew what they were doing. I think this Green Bay defense is showing signs of becoming a really dominant unit. And I know they were a little banged up earlier in the year, especially when Alexander was out. But you see what they are capable of. And they ran so many different fronts and different schematic things that made it really difficult on C.J. Stroud. I know he looks like a veteran, he's mature, but there's some stuff he hadn't seen, you know, in the National Football League today. And hats off to this Green Bay staff. They definitely had a great plan, and the players executed at a high level.
They certainly did. Tony, we know what the marquee is going to look like when these two teams go at it. It's going to be Stroud, it's going to be Love, but talk to me about what these complements of running backs have meant. These are two teams that are trying to take that next step and identified running back as a place in the offseason. They wanted to get better. How big were Mixon and Jacobs in the effort on both sides in this one?
They're huge. I mean, this is to make it quarterback friendly. You just hand the ball to the running back and you have a play action game. I thought Green Bay's ability to eliminate the play action passing game, that's really where Houston creates a lot of their chunk plays and explosives, and they just didn't have the opportunities to do it, and a lot of it was Green Bay's fronts and looks. But I really felt like going forward, these are two teams who have very similar structures and identities, and I think right now the Packers showed that they just have a little bit more juice as far as the weapons. And we know when Nico Collins gets back, that'll change, though.
We always talk about, Tony, you and I, winning in different ways, and this is a Green Bay team that almost exclusively won by winning that turnover battle all season long. They get dominated in that department in this game and still walk away with the win. What can that do for a team's confidence?
Oh, a lot. And like you just said, you don't lose 3-0 in the turnover and giveaways and takeaways department and win the game. And that just shows you how good you are and how good you can be. And I think they're going to be in the mix all the way to the end of the year. I think Green Bay is a real formidable Super Bowl contender. And I feel like Houston still has to get some stuff up front to go against the best teams in the NFL, but they have the ability to do it. And like I said, when Nico's back, that'll help them a lot and get the defense to calm down a little bit with some of the pressures.
That is Tony Romo, sharp in the land of cheese, the pride of Burlington, Wisconsin. We thank you.
Nice. Thanks.
Always sneaking to Burlington when we can for Tony. Appreciate him stopping by each and every week here on HQ. As you know where your Sunday starts, that's with our team on the NFL Today. JB and the gang breaking it down and getting you ready for an exciting day of action on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.